It's time. It's episode 84. I was off yesterday. Couldn't do the ATM podcast. We're going to talk about the RPA dispute. It's ongoing. Bowden Barrett back for the Blues. Why the hell not? Squeezing those Warriors as well. And how do we react to Manchester City winning 4 in a row?
Apologise to me!
The RPA dispute. Now what, Mark? You've got Rob Nichols saying that the Players Association wants to split and they want to run the whole game themselves.
Yeah, and I think Rob Nichols, a guy who doesn't mince words, I think Rob Nichols is a guy who will do this if, in fact, they don't actually put into place the resolutions from their own internal review. I think there's dangers in this as well. I still believe the players have too much influence. I still believe, as you've heard me say, that the only people that seem to benefit in this game are the players, and they seem to just be able to pick and choose. And yes, we don't have the game without them, but equally, they don't have anything without the rugby public. And so first and foremost, I think it's got to be about what the New Zealand rugby fan wants. And what we clearly want is a much higher level of engagement. We want all our competitions to be strong and healthy. And we don't want egos, and that seems to be the problem at the moment. It's the unions not wanting to give up power, or not necessarily power. They still want to retain having a voice, and I guess probably a lot of that is around the NPC as much as anything. And then you've just simply got egos. But look, when you look at Mark Robertson, I mean, he should be the first guy that just resigns. This guy clearly lacks leadership. The whole organisation's in absolute shambles. You've got Dame Patsy Reddy. You're thinking, how the hell is she on the board? She gets appointed because she's the former sort of Governor General, and it's just this lovely little box sticking exercise at the time. But, a lot of these people that sit on these boards have these CVs that are so over-embellished. And, they're happy with the status quo. They don't want to upset anybody. And what the game actually needs now, it's not an evolution. It actually needs a revolution. Look, hopefully this threat from Rod Nichols does bring some urgency to these discussions, and the original review that does get implemented, which is clearly what Rob Nichols does want. It's clearly what the Players Association wants. But, where's the fan in all of this? Where do we get our say? I've in recent times, Martin, I've just spoken to a couple of former All Blacks on radio programs, and I've said, look, can you come on? And they both said to me, Mark, I'd love to, but I don't actually watch it anymore. And that just, and we talk about this every week, and that's just common with a lot of people. And we've already talked about what rugby league are doing and what rugby league are doing right. But yeah, look, I think there's dangers if the Players Association takes over. I'm not sure how that's going to work in terms of income, in terms of the commercial agreements that have been put in place. I just think there's a danger here for a lot of the existing corporate partners or commercial partners just to walk away from this saying, hey, we didn't sign up for this mess. We just signed up because you guys sold us a story, you sold us a brand fit, and all you're doing is diminishing that, and all you're doing is actually breaking down 130, 140 years of rugby history in this country.
I just can't see how, if the provincial unions are disestablished and having any power base at all with the running of the game, so all you've got Mark Robinson, his fish heads, and his endless consultants, reviews, committees, ex-coms, pathway managers, and just so many more hires at New Zealand. How does this actually work in terms of redistributing the money back to the areas of New Zealand rugby, the clubs, the actual unions itself, kids' games? Where does that all come from? Are we going to have to rely now on the benevolence of those players to say, okay, well, out of the hundreds of millions it generates, we take this much and we're prepared to give you this much? Because we all know where that ends, don't we? I mean, no one's ever going to hand out money that they think should be theirs to somebody else. It doesn't happen in life, in any walk of life.
Yeah, but I think the horse is bolted, Martin. I think you've only got to look. The only thing they are interested in is clearly the All Blacks. I mean, the influence that the All Blacks have on Super Rugby, the rest and rotating of players who have been All Blacks because they're tired. We know this current crop and current board really don't want the NPC. They don't see it as being sort of... Well,
how do you get to be an All Black if you don't play NPC? What, are you just going to come out of a first 15 and play Super Rugby, are you? That's not going to happen.
No, but that's the mentality, Martin. I agree with you completely. I mean, I've always thought the point of difference with New Zealand rugby, if you talk to every other country in the world, we've got that extra layer of professionalism. We're supposed to have first 15 rugby, we're supposed to have senior club rugby, we're supposed to have the NPC, then Super Rugby, and through that pathway, we produce some really, really good All Blacks. But this mentality is that, oh, look, we'll always find 15 players around the country. We're just happy with Super Rugby. We don't really care if the crowds turn up anymore. It's ultimately the All Blacks that are bringing the money in. This is just really an All Black trial, and these guys are, really just at the mercy. The coaches and the players are really just puppets, and the puppet masters are those running the administration. It is just, I don't even know how we've got to it, Martin. I said it last week. I mean, you look at the mistakes they've made with senior club rugby, you look at the mistakes they've made with NBC, and they're making exactly the same mistakes with Super Rugby. It's an appalling product. Yes, there's the odd appointment viewing game, but look, I've had friends who've gone to Eden Park recently to watch the Blues and said the atmosphere is just absolutely appalling. It's just dreadful. It's just the same old. And, Mark Robertson needs to go. The board needs to go. Dame Patsy already show some damn leadership, woman. You put your hand up. You said, I can do this. It looks great on your CV. You love your Blazers. All of these board members, just resign. We need people who are going to come and have some vision and actually say, hey, you know what? We are about the provincial unions, whether directly or indirectly, but primarily we're about the New Zealand rugby fan. And we are under siege at the moment. They just continually whittling away the very foundations that have made the game, for so long, so commercially successful.
Apologise to me!